But let's get in Rajdeep and Yashwant, both on the state of Haryana. 90 seats in Haryana as well, up for polls. And with what Yashwant Deshmukh has predicted, it does seem that the Congress is in a way more comfortable situation in Haryana than in Jammu and Kashmir. In Haryana, it seems the Congress clearly in pole position. What that figure is will largely depend on how well the independents do and the other parties do. Parties like INLD, parties like JJP. Of course, JJP is tied up with Chandrasekhar Azad's Apna Samaj Party. The INLD has tied up with the BSP. There's also Aam Aadmi Party in the mix. Rajdeep, tomorrow, what are you looking at where Haryana is concerned?
I'm looking at the final Congress score. You know, it's one of those strange elections where it seems reasonably certain because all the polls are pointing in one direction. Do you get 45 to 55? Do you get 50 to 60? Do you get 55 to 65? Or do you go above 70? I mean, is it a Hawa? Is it an Andhi? Is it a tsunami? It could be one of the three. And that hasn't happened.
But you're very clear that the Congress is forming government.
Look, I leave all the numbers now to the pollsters. I am once bitten, several times shy after the 2024 Lok Sabha elections. But I would be very surprised, given what I saw on the ground. After a long time, I've seen such clear anti-incumbency on the ground. It's not about people wanting to bring in the Congress.
True.
It's about people wanting to vote out a government.
You know, but that is Haryana. Haryana में चुनाव हमेशा भगाने के लिए होता है, लाने के लिए नहीं होता. If you look at everyone who's come in Haryana.
Well, yes, but you know, there have been very few elections. I'm trying to sort of think of, haven't been, having said that, you're right, but having said that, there haven't been too many two-thirds elections in Haryana because
when Bansi Lal went, he came down to 5. When Bhajan Lal went, he came...
You see, because there used to be always a strong regional force. The moment the election has become bipolar, that's the big difference in Haryana this time. Haryana in recent times had a strong third party, whether independents or the JJP, which was formed in 2019, or INLD. If this election shows bipolarity, that is a big change, I think, in Haryana politics.
You're right there. And then you're going before the 2005 elections in Haryana. Yashwant Deshmukh, what are you looking at?
So I am neither bitten nor shy because I've always maintained the seat share is not anybody's cup of thing. But
so
it's a hazard, professional hazard that one has to do that. Sure. But what the numbers which I would be really interested to look into is what we are predicting. That if you look into the 5 years back, you know, the two national parties were hardly polling about 60% of votes together.
True.
This is the election where for the first time the national parties are going to poll almost to the tune of 80%. That's what we have predicted, and my eyes would be on that. If the two national parties together they get 80% plus, then the bipolarization of Haryana is complete. And just like Uttar Pradesh, where the bipolarization has now between the Congress, between the BJP and the Samajwadi Party, and BSP is pushed to the really third and that kind of front, I believe this is a process where in the last 10-15 years we have seen people do not want to give confused mandate. In Haryana, they did give a confused mandate last time. They did give an anti-BJP mandate to JJP only to see JJP going with the BJP. So more and more, I think public is going to be very clear in their mandate and telling the politicians, listen, our mandates are very clear. If you do hanky-panky with our mandate, next time we are going to ensure we boot you out of the entire, you know, construct and whatever the
you know, my only thing is that, you know, my worry is that having said it'll be either a wave, Andhi or tsunami, someone will clip it tomorrow if, let's say, the BJP wins. So I'm going to ask you, Preeti, since you've traveled the most, you're from Haryana, you're from Haryana, you've traveled more than any of us across the state. Tell us where you think things stand. I mean, Yashwant has put his numbers out there.
I'll tell you what I
think it's a Hawa, Andhi or tsunami. More likely, I would say, a bit of an Andhi.
Okay, I'll just say what I feel. Okay.
Yes.
All right. You know what I really strongly feel is, and I had put this out on Twitter as well after traveling a fair amount, is I feel this is what you also pointed out, a negative election. Congress, other than the strongholds of the Huddas, which is Jhajjar belt, which is Rohtak, and you know the heartland of the Jat belt, is a default option. But the anti-incumbency is so strong that it's difficult to predict a number, because I didn't see too much pro-Congress voices, especially when you move away from these areas. But I heard so much against the BJP that you would think that the number is definitely somewhere above 50-55.
From the electoral historical perspective, barring the one-sided state, there are 4 one-sided states who have given more than 2 or 3 terms to any one party. And Haryana is certainly not one of them, you know. So Haryana politics has never been that one-sided that a party would continue to govern 15 years plus or 10 years plus. 10 years is the upper limit that Haryana has ever given. So I don't see from the historical perspective with the anti-incumbency that we kicked in. And by the way, in 10 years, and I have been underlining this again and again, all the MOTN polls that we have carried for India today, in our chief minister's ranking, Haryana chief ministers have been always in the last 10 years in the bottom 5. And so that doesn't help. That doesn't help.
And why it could be, I mean, again, if my knowledge of history of Haryana is right, this would, if the numbers hold, if Yashwant's numbers hold, this would be the first time that a third force in Haryana has not got 10 plus seats.
Exactly.
I don't recall any election.
Before 2005, it used to be at times a bipolar election.
No, even if it was bipolar, the regional parties and independents would always get more than 10 seats. This would be the first time independent parties, independents and regional parties would not have got 10 plus, which I think would be significant.
To study for all of us that, we have been always saying the dynastic party, and when there is nobody to take care of the party, they go out. But this is also going to be one of those cases where way too many, inheritors of that legacy were there, but still the regional parties are getting
Let's cut across, expand the panel. Ashutosh, author, political analyst is with us. Amitabh Tiwari, strategist, commentator, election analyst as well. Ashutosh, discussing Haryana right now, one of the main things I feel where at least the vote for the BJP on how well the BJP does tomorrow will depend how well the BJP is done in the GT Karnal belt and the Ahirwal belt. These two will decide whether the BJP will at least hold on to the number of seats it had and how much it falls.
See, Preeti, I was just hearing Rajdeep. I beg to differ with him. I will be most interested to know how many seats BJP is getting.
Ashutosh begs to differ with Rajdeep, who's walking away. I'll ask him to come back then. Go ahead, Ashutosh.
No. Ask him to come back. Ask him to
come back. He's asking you to come back. You come back and sit and then we'll say, Ashutosh, go ahead, make your point.
See, I think sometimes we really feel shy to say the truth. The fact of the matter is that Haryana election will be a kind of referendum on the popularity of Mr. Narendra Modi. Can he win an election for the BJP or not in the state assemblies or not? That's the crux of the matter is. Because this is the same Prime Minister which has asked vote in his name in 2024 parliamentary election. People had not given him the mandate. And in Himachal Pradesh, he has gone and asked voter, vote for me, forget about the BJP and the Kamal. People did not vote for him. In Karnataka, he did the same thing. People did not vote for him. So it is going to be a defining moment in Indian politics if Mr. Modi, who was considered to be invincible in parliamentary election as well as in most of the assembly elections, if the scale of the defeat of the BJP will tell a different story, political story in the post Haryana elections, and that will be very interesting to watch, and that will really define that how long Mr. Narendra Modi and RSS relationship will continue and how long RSS will put money on him.
All right, Ashutosh, Yashwant Deshmukh begs to differ, let him come in.
No, I'm speaking on behalf of Rajdeep because he was nodding like this.
Yeah, so he didn't agree with you, but he has to go for the recording.
So, chehra mera hai, lekin shabd Rajdeep ke hain. He doesn't agree with you, Ashutosh, for a simple reason. There was no more humiliating defeat of the BJP under Modi than Mr. Kejriwal handed him in the assembly elections of Delhi 2 times in a row. Still, Mr. Modi won 7-0 in the parliamentary elections. So, I genuinely believe, and I agree with Rajdeep in his absence, that these are the assembly elections. Yes, the Lok Sabha onwards, these trends are continuing, whichever the Lok Sabha elections have said. But to say that Haryana is going to say that on the prime ministerial's numbers, Mr. Modi is now less popular than his opponent just because he has lost the assembly election. This is what Rajdeep disagrees with on, and I think I will agree with Rajdeep on that.
Yashwant, I'll add a few points. See, if everything was so hunky-dory for the BJP, Mr. Narendra Modi would have come back with 296 on its own. So let's accept the fact that he is on the downhill.
Of course, yes. Rajdeep,
yeah.
I mean, last of all, Ashu, in our MOPN poll, we have been saying that.
I can see, I'm not.
After
I'm not
10 years of incumbency, that kind of attrition is very logical. No doubt about that. That is applicable even on center and even on the state.
Yashwant, I'm only arguing the point is that sometime we should tell the truth. That Mr. Narendra Modi is no longer as popular. I'm not saying that he's unpopular. I'm not saying that he's not a force to reckon with. I'm only saying that he's on the downhill in terms of popularity. And and the scale of defeat of the BJP in Haryana will put a stamp on that.
Somebody who is used to have a rating of 60s,
I'm going to go into a quick break,
50s,
but I'll tell you what, the limited truth, and there is a bit with what Ashutosh is saying, is because what hasn't worked for the state of Haryana, the farm agitation, the wrestlers' protest, all of this is in the making of the state government, but has been the making of the central government.
Right.
So there will be some amount of anti-incumbency which would be attached, to a vote against these, two reasons, which actually led to a bit of a social movement where Haryana was concerned.